Welcome to the Winning Move podcast. I'm your host, Stratton Brown. I interview successful entrepreneurs from around the world to see what moves they've made in their lives to get successful and, more importantly, stay successful. I'm here to make sure you can create a better life for you and your family. Let's tune in. Welcome to the Winning Move podcast. We have one of the best business people I've ever met in my life on as a special guest. Some quick housekeeping things. If you guys are looking for any virtual assistants, go to callmagicians.com or vahub.com. Fun fact, Pace is the one who told me to structure Call Magicians the way I did. He's like, bro, you're being stupid. I remember I called you. I was like, yeah, I want to do this and I'm going to do it this way. You're like, no, Stratton, you're not getting any cash flow. You want to go for the cash flow.
Yeah. You were. I think you were doing what Antoine Campbell was doing at the time, where he was
exactly
finding virtual assistants. Yeah, there's no long-term gain there.
None. And you're like, bro, you can sell this for X multiple.
Right, and you also have no control over the user experience. Like once your clients come in, you don't have any control over that user experience. So the way you guys went is the smart way to go. And I love the branding too. I love the name. I love everything you guys are doing.
Thank you. And I want to talk, why did you rebrand to, what is it? Go Virtual? Is that what it is? In that company?
Start Virtual. We rebranded Start Virtual because of trademark issues, bro. So like think about your multiplier, right? Mm-hmm. So if you have a company out there that's even remotely close to your name, and you have a company that comes to you and says, okay, Stratton, you're doing $50 million a year in business. We want to do a 4X multiplier. We're going to buy your business for 200 million, which is very possible in that niche, right?
Yep.
So they buy your business for 200 million. Guess what? They want a trademarked name, trademarked everything. And the company we had, which was VA Hub at the time, there was another company called the VA Hub, and we didn't know about it. So what happened is, we got up to like 300 clients or something like that. And then we're like, dude, we need to go get trademarks. Stupid thing, but things that you just learn as being a business owner along the way. So we go to a trademark attorney. Trademark attorney then does the research for us. And he goes, are you guys related to the vahub.com? We're like, no, we didn't even know that existed. You know what I'm saying? Why would somebody buy the vahub.com website when VAHub at the time, vahub.com was available? You know what I'm saying? So we never even thought about it. And ultimately we ran into it. We offered to buy those guys out with the name. And then I just said, you know what? We have a really good brand. We have a great user experience. We have a great everything. And, with Jamil and I going on TV in August, September, I was like, this is the right time to rebrand it, and let's find a name that can be trademarked and be entirely ours, because ultimately the same thing with you, Stratton, is that you want to have some sort of multiplier and have an exit. And, I know you, even if you got a big check for 100 million, you just roll that into some other cool thing. And, but still you want the 100 million check.
Exactly.
Right.
That's crazy. We ran into the same issue. I'll talk to you about it afterwards, but someone started a Call Magic Leads company after we started Call Magicians.
Bro, people are always trying to steal our sauce, man. Like it's crazy how hard it is we come up with ideas, and coming up with ideas is like half the battle. Coming up with, all of those things is half the battle, but then implementing them and getting them going and making sure customers are happy and understanding pricing and collections and this and that and da. And then 30 days later, somebody comes up with another company just similar like ours. And you're like, dude, my gosh, can you guys just go do something of your own? Leave us alone. And it's so similar to our name that it's confusing for our audience.
Exactly. Especially with your reach, right? With your reach, you're actually losing people at this point.
Yeah, we lose people. We actually, specifically, there's other things that we run into non-related to, both you and I run a virtual assistant business, but the other companies that we had a guy calls me up. He goes, man, your guys' company sucks, blah, 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 blah. I was like, dude, who's your customer success manager? Let me reach out and find out how we can help out. And he tells me a name I don't recognize, and you know where I'm going with this. I'm like, 7 minutes later, I go, bro, that person does not work at our company. What's their email? Gives me the email. I was like, you're a dumbass, dude. It's not even closely like it's a hint. It's a hint of the name. It was something workathomehub.com or something like that. And I'm like, how did you get confused by that? But again, that's why branding and, trademarking is so important. And I'm glad you guys figured it out. It's especially earlier than we did. It took us a year and a half to figure that out.
I mean, so I'm interested, and we'll talk about some other stuff. I'm interested in the fucking growing pains you went through to scale that fast, that big, bro. How involved in the day-to-day in that company are you? Because you're a lot more visionary, but that's so many growing pains. Thinking about the growing pains I went through, and we're in the mid 80s now.
Right.
And that's in a year. It's a year this month.
Yeah.
So you're doing 5x that. That sounds absolutely mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's a lot. But we have obviously, just like you, we have a really good team. Everything for us is user experience. So every single week we go to the clients and that, let's say, canceled, right? And I'm sure you're probably doing some sort of this. So you go to your clients that cancel and you go, what are the top 5 reasons people canceled in the last, rolling average of 30 days? And we come up with number 1, the biggest reason why people cancel is what do you think it is? But it's always budget, right? So for virtual assistants, because it costs money.
Yeah.
It's like when you get a lot of wholesalers that start the business, what they do is they think like, oh, I'm going to start generating leads tomorrow and I'll get a contract tomorrow. And then that contract will close in 3 days. And it's like, bro, that's not kind of what happens. What happens is you could get a contract in 2 days, but usually those contracts take 2 to 6 weeks to close. So we do get some clients in the very beginning. We got a lot of clients that would come in thinking, I have 1 month worth of a virtual assistant in my bank account. And if I don't get a deal, I'm canceling. And so we throttled that back by now we require people to say, or not, we don't require them to pay up front or anything. We just say, are you aware that you might get a deal on day 1, but you won't get a paycheck till day 91? And it's been amazing. Like 25% of people that we think we could close are like, okay, that's a really great point. I'll come back when I have a little bit more money. And we go, dude, why don't you go partner with somebody so you guys can share the cost of a VA and do like a round robin type of thing. So every week we would ask those questions. What are the 5 reasons people quit? And the user experience was number 1 in the first 3 months. And so we focused everything on user experience and the flow. And that's why I have 3 partners. We have 3 partners. Actually, there's 4 partners in that business. There's Cody, myself, Matt, and Daryl, who's boots on the ground in the Philippines.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And
you set up like a building out there?
Oh yeah. We're buying a $2 million building right now out there.
Why didn't you? Because you're the reason I'm in 7 different countries. Like, man, it's all virtual. To where
but I'm not happy with it. All of our people are not working in the building. It's just that as corporate gets bigger, so we're gonna have a corporate building itself, and then we'll have like the designers, the web builders, some of those people that need to communicate faster, like being next to each other. Those types of people will work in that building, but everybody else will work from home, and they have been, and we don't want to change that because it's working so well. And we could, if we wanted to, even branch out to more countries. But the way it's working right now, we love it. And then the other thing is we did the research on the multiplier. If you don't have a corporate presence, like a brick and mortar, your multiplier is cut in half. So if you don't have a brick and mortar, half. Because the perceived value of a business inside of a structure is double.
Wow.
Yeah, it's double. It's a weird thing. Like people go, what? Buying like intellectual property. It's like, well, no, you're buying systems and processes and SOPs and all these things that are non-tangible. But when you add a tangible asset to that multiplier, people are like, wow, okay, this is you know what I'm saying? Like people are kind of
that's
weird.
Insane.
That's double. So we have a business broker that's a good buddy of mine. He does like $100 million acquisitions and mergers and stuff like that. And so he's coaching us along on like, what would that exit be in 10 years? And so the funny thing is, like, I think the biggest change that we've made as well, Stratton, is that we've branched away from focusing on wholesalers.
Yes, bro.
It's a problem. Wholesalers are most of the people that are going to be sticky. I call them the sticky clients. They stick to us. The clients that are the stickiest are the ones that are utilizing creative finance because they have more longevity. Whereas wholesalers, they have this mindset of like, I'm going to light the world on fire. And then the only person that's consistent in their business is their virtual assistant, right? Meanwhile, if you look at like 5 other industries, they're 25 times the size of wholesalers, but they actually have budgets. So,
bro, that's the biggest thing for me, and it sticks. And you're more irreplaceable.
Yeah,
right. With the wholesalers, you're replaceable. Like, what's going on? I'll come in, step in, handle a bunch of stuff for you instead of just cold calling, and then you're irreplaceable. You're the person who gave me that idea too. I'm telling you.
Yeah. So like we're doing bookkeeping as well now too. So we brought in a full-time bookkeeper who's my personal bookkeeper. And then we're putting people underneath her and we're building out a bookkeeping section. And in that process, we picked up a bunch of clients that were like trucking companies and insurance brokers and all sorts of stuff. And it's like, holy crap, these people are like expecting to pay $15 an hour for a virtual assistant. Meanwhile, a wholesaler's like, how do I get my virtual assistant to work for $3.50? You know what I'm saying? Like we're constantly having that conversation about budget with wholesalers. And I don't know what it is. We love the fact that we have a lot of wholesale clients, but when you're looking at getting to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 clients, you're not going to be able to do that with wholesalers. You have to start branching out.
Not at all. What's going on, Noah? What's going on, Gerald?
Gerald, two of my brothers. I love both those guys. I was just texting Gerald. He's funding a couple deals for us. And Noah, I've got one Airbnb in Dallas. Hey, I just got another Airbnb today, Noah, in Dallas. So he's going to be setting up like 4 or 5 of my Airbnbs right now.
Hell yeah. Noah came to me and I was showing him wholesale. And then he was like, I really want to do sub 2. I was like, bro, you got to go hit up Pace. I go to Pace for everything. There's no way I'm able to show you how to do any of this. And it was
great. I'm glad you'd pushed them because you know what happened is last summer I was traveling around the country and I was in my RV. I'm sure you remember.
Yeah.
It was like right after you just treated us like kings in Fresno, like 2 months later, freaking COVID hits, right?
Yep.
And so I go on the road with my kids and my wife and I launched my mentorship program and we brought in like literally 500 students in like 30 days. It was wildfire. And here we are, Gerald Rojas and Noah, basically we're all, my NorCal students. And Noah joins right before I go to Berkeley and I hang out with everybody in Berkeley and I meet Noah and I'm in Berkeley. He treats me like a king. You flew me in first class, bro. Like literally nobody ever did that. I'm just blown away. I'll never forget that. And put us up in an Airbnb. Like, bro, you took care of us so hard. Amazing. Still to this day, I'm just like, dude, Stratton's the shit. So Noah meets me at this house in Berkeley as I'm traveling around the country. And he's like, what are you working on? And what do you have in your pipeline? I tell him about this house in Las Vegas that I had that I'm like, I don't know. I might turn it into like a corporate rental. He goes, well, why don't you let me set it up as an Airbnb? Long story short, now Noah has probably set up from that one conversation. I bet you he's set up close to 80, maybe 100 Airbnbs for between me and other students in sub 2 because I've made him the sub 2, the Airbnb guy because he's so good and he serves like he over delivers. And thank you for sending him our way, bro. Thank you.
He is that guy. Ooh, and on that subject, I want to talk about your fucking magic touch syndrome and how everyone who comes to Pace, and I remember we're sitting in the car and you're like, some people just don't get it. You're like, I will bring people into our business and they'll make more money than they've ever made before. And then 6 months into it, they'll forget why they're doing what they're doing and they lose their goddamn mind.
Yeah. I call it the man in the desert and the oasis. So the story I tell people all the time is like, once I learned my purpose and I learned my talents and my skills and I got confident in that, which, a lot of people think, oh, you're cocky. No, dude, like everybody is telling you, figure out who the hell you are. And I finally figured out who the hell I am. And finally I'm confident in who I am. And all of a sudden, like all the stars align. So like I have the Midas touch. I touch things and things just blow up because I know who I am and I know what I'm good at. So for example, I get people that go, I need an opportunity. I'm broke. I need an opportunity. I'm broke. I need an opportunity. Okay, great. So you're like a man standing in the desert, like dying of, not starvation. What's the word I'm looking for?
Thirst.
Thirst. You're dying of thirst. You need this opportunity. So I'm up in my oasis. I'm like on the mountain in this oasis, like a tropical rainforest, full of water, full of opportunity, full of everything that I've created. And I look down at people and I go, I want to bring that person an opportunity. So I take a nice cold glass of water down to that person. I hike all the way down to like where they are. And I try and break through their mindset. And I go, okay, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to give you this opportunity. Right now, you're dying of thirst. You literally will tell me you would do anything for an opportunity. I'm sure, Stratton, you get this all the time. Like you get people in your DMs like, I will work for you for free. I will do anything for you. And then what happens is you give them not only that glass of water, but you hike their ass all the way to the oasis and you show them what the world really looks like and what it feels like to make money and what it feels like to have momentum and what it feels like to have traction and what it feels like to like be behind the scenes and see what a business really effing looks like. The conversations nobody has. And those people, the second they drink that water, they forget how thirsty they were and they turn into lazy pieces of shit or ungrateful pieces of shit. And then their regular lives and who they really are actually seeps back in. And then a year later, you find them back in the desert and they're like, you abandoned me. I'm like, but you get like one in 100, right? 1 in 100. I know you know what this is like. 1 in 100 people are like the Noah Hoffmans of the world.
Yep.
Where Noah wasn't dying of thirst, but he's like, yo, put me on, man. Put a highlight on me and let me be the Airbnb guy inside the sub 2 community. Now he's like flying all over the country. He's setting up Airbnbs left and right. He's building this empire and he's partnering with people all over the place, like crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. And what he does is he doesn't forget the value that was brought to him. And he over delivers constantly. It's constantly like ping pong, right? It's like, I'm going to send the ball of value back to you and you're going to send the ball of value back to me. And we're going to play this game of ping pong back and forth with each other, right? That's what it's like hanging out with a guy like you, right? It's like you go, hey, I want you guys to come to my RIA. I've never been treated that well in my life, ever. And I'm like, this is amazing. And then anything you need, anything that you want access to my transaction coordinator, you got it. You want something, you want contracts, you want whatever, you got it. You want advice on your virtual assistant business, you got it. And you continually, it's the ping pong game. And that's what ultimately filters out the people in my life is like, if I send you the ball and you don't send it back, I put my paddle down. I ain't gonna go pull another ball and send it over to you. Game's over. Right. And Noah Hoffman is that dude. And there's no freaking surprise in my mind why you and him hang out because you guys are both the same way.
And thank you again for the compliments. But so I'm at the point now, right, to where the only value I can truly bring you is money. You know what I'm saying? Because like we're at a point to where you're at a different level than me to where I can't bring you a lot of values. Like it comes to a point, it's like mentorship. Like I put you and DM on the same level to where like I pay DM a lot of money just so I can talk to DM and come to him with my bullshit problems. Right. That's really the only, how else can people bring value to you? Like at this point, there is no way to bring value to you. I personally don't think.
Stratton, say hi to my wife, Laura.
Hey, Laura.
Hi.
What do you got?
I got 2 different things. I've got this.
Amazing.
Or this steak one, Mediterranean one.
Thank you. Thank you. So the value that somebody can bring to me from like a very low level is, dude, sometimes, and you know this too in your business, I wish somebody with a little bit of talent could hold an iPhone and just help me record a video. You know what I'm saying? We have 4 full-time videographers and they can't keep up. So it's like, oh man, does anybody want to just stop by and let's do a video? Just do it on your phone. Shit, you know? So even small levels of value, but most people don't even show up when they say they're going to. So like for audience members that are paying attention, it could be as small as that, stopping by a project. Hey, I know that I'm in Phoenix. I want to learn how to fix and flip Pace. Is there any value I can bring to you? Yeah. Call Anna, tell her, ask her if there's anything you can pick up from Home Depot, ask her, those types of things. But on a high level, like guys like that are on your level and my level, the value that we bring to each other is not money, because I think when you were going to join Sub 2, I was like, don't join my program. Just call me. Right.
Yeah.
So it's not money that you can bring me, because money doesn't, we were talking about title companies and all these other companies we're running. Like money doesn't get me excited. What gets me excited is new ideas of things that nobody's doing. Right. So what would get me excited is if you were like, hey, Pace, I got this new idea for an event or a live thing where we do X, Y, and Z. Let's collaborate on X, Y, and Z. Like that's the value that a guy like you and I should be bringing back and forth to each other. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
Forget about money, bro. You got plenty of money. I got plenty of money. It's collaboration and helping. You saw the post with the house I gave to Anna?
Bro, that was amazing. So I need to be more like that. Well, I need to get at that level, because I think that is one of the most amazing things you can do for someone.
I agree. And I was like, and I'm not trying to be cocky or anything, but people ask me like, when is there enough money? And I was like, that's not the question. The question is not, have you made enough money? The question is, have you helped out everybody in your immediate circle? So like, there's people outside of my immediate circle. What would that be? Like, that would be maybe one of the employees of one of my best friends, right? Like, I'm not going to help Jamil's employees. Those are not I talk to them, but they're not in my immediate circle, right? So people in my immediate circle, I've got to ask myself, is their life impacted by my oasis, right? All this rainwater and all this opportunity and all this stuff in my life, is it benefiting everybody in my immediate circle? So we go through, I just don't talk about it, but we go through employee by employee by employee, and we say, who doesn't have a house? Okay, well, you're renting. Let's find a seller finance opportunity or a Sub 2 deal, and I'll pay the down payment. I'll pay the closing costs. I'll pay the renovations. We'll get you in the house. And now the rent payment you're paying of $1,300, now you're paying $1,200 PITI, and you own the house, and I'll pay for all those costs to get you into that house, right? We've been doing that for like 2 years. The problem with Anna, even though Anna's probably like most important person in my world, is she's so damn picky on where she wants to live that it took us so damn long to find her something she'd move into. And so the question I ask myself all the time is like, what can I do that nobody else is doing? So that's my ego, right? My ego, because I have an ego, and so do you, right? We're freaking testosterone driven alpha males.
It's the biggest gift ever I think you've been given. Me personally, having an ego is the greatest thing I've ever been.
I agree. Somebody told me the other day, your ego's not your amigo. I was like, yeah, because you're a fucking loser. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't understand that your ego, if aligned properly, will drive you towards a goal of helping more people because you have a superpower. So my superpower, which, both you and I have multiple superpowers, my superpower should bring me money, but money is a tool just to impact other people's lives. So my question really is everybody in my immediate circle impacted more working with me or for me than it would be outside of working for me or with me, right? So like Bobby, my videographer, take him, for example. I met him 1.5 years ago, making literally 5 times the amount of money he was making before he met me. Now buying his first house, his first car, like with his own credit, all that kind of stuff, moving in with a girlfriend. He like never had a place to bring a girlfriend home because he was living at home. Like even as small as that change, everybody in my life has to be impacted. And that is the answer. When will there be enough? When is enough enough? The answer is when everybody in my immediate circle has the life of their dreams. I will then say I can slow down. That's it.
I love it.
Right.
I love it, bro.
With you, think about how many people think. So Stratton, this is my favorite math equation to go through. Check this out. Add up how many people work for you because of your hard work and because of your vision and because of your ego. right? Because of that dripping testosterone, right? And females have testosterone too. So this is not just a male conversation.
Yep.
But all of that testosterone that drives you to go do more, ultimately, how many people get a paycheck from you? Okay.
Right.
I don't know what that number is, but it might be 100, might be more than 100, right? But it's going to be a good amount because you're a badass. For me, it's probably close to 1,000 people get a paycheck every other week because of me and the companies that we're touching. 1,000 people.
That's bananas.
Take that 1,000 people and you take the average family size, 1 wife, 2 children. Okay, that's the average family size is 4. So 4 people are living on that paycheck. Okay, so that's 4,000 people are living on that paycheck. That's pretty cool. Now multiply that 4,000 by 3. And what are those? What's that 3 for? Is the amount of meals that paycheck pays for every single day. So I don't know your number, but my number is 12,000 meals are eaten every day because of my ego.
I love it.
Nobody else thinks that way. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no,
how many meals are being eaten every day because of Stratton's ego? It's a shit ton. That's how many.
And then what's it called? Like in today's environment now, they think you're a thief because you're a business owner and everybody's not getting paid enough.
Right. That's why this is the kind of stuff that will never go away. So check this out. So we just did this air meet recently with a gentleman named Robert G. Allen. Do you follow him at all?
I don't follow him. That's like your main creative finance guy, is it? Or is that a different guy?
So yeah, he started out in creative finance like in the 80s, right? So literally like 40 years ago, he wrote a book called Nothing Down. Okay. So he writes a book called Nothing Down, and it's a book all about how you can buy houses with nothing down, which both you and I know that shit's possible. We both have done it. Okay. And he writes his book. The LA Times challenged Robert Allen in the 80s, like 1984. They challenge him and they go, we dare you to prove to us that you can go buy a house, nothing down in 72 hours with only $100. Okay. Robert Allen, because he's a badass, Robert Allen says, I accept that challenge and I will go wherever you want me to go. Whatever city, I will go there. And so LA Times says, fly to LA, come to our headquarters. We're going to attach a reporter to you, and they're going to have a camera on you for 72 hours, and we're going to fly you to a random city, the most challenging city of all time to buy real estate. So they fly him to San Francisco. He flies to LA, gets a ticket, says San Francisco on it. They go to downtown San Francisco, him and a reporter. And the reporter's like, what are you going to do? Robert takes the $100 bill, walks to a hot dog stand, buys a hot dog, gets $10 worth of dimes as part of his change. And he starts making phone calls at a phone booth because at the time, that's what you did, right? Doesn't get any traction, but he basically tells people like, hey, I'm staying at this hotel. My check-in is not until the afternoon. So please leave a message for me. I'm staying at this hotel. And he's calling realtors who have listings in like the classifieds. Hey, my name is Robert Allen. I'm looking for a no money out of pocket investment here in San Francisco. Let me know if your buyer would be interested. So finally checks it in the hotel, goes into the hotel. It's $17 a night hotel, makes the reporter split it with him because he's like, dude, I only have $100. You're splitting this $8.50 cost. You know what I'm saying? So 10:30 at night, he gets a call from a realtor. She goes, oh my gosh, I just got your message. Yes, I actually have a seller with 2 houses that wants to sell on seller finance, and they will do nothing down. And we can structure my commission to be paid out over a certain amount of time. So he structures this great deal, right? And so he goes and meets the seller the next morning. The reporter's like, this has got to be staged. How the hell did you know that this was San Francisco, you piece of shit? This is crazy. And they go to the house. The reporter's like, okay, I verify, like, this is crazy. You actually did it. These people really don't know who you are. You really pulled this off in like 18 hours. Okay. So the reporter says, okay, it's time to go back to LA. Let's do this news piece. And what was it? I mean, at this point, Robert Allen's the shit, right? 18 hours, 2 properties, nothing down, structures the commission to be paid over time, closing costs to be paid by the seller, right? Nothing out of pocket type of deal, okay? That's badass. What's his response to the reporter who says, let's go back to LA, is he says, I still have 54 hours. And he goes and buys 7 more houses the same effing way. This guy's career lights on fire, right? His career lights on fire because of this. And they if you Google him right now, you go Robert G. Allen, LA Times, there's an article there that says, United States investor takes the challenge, the Los Angeles Times challenge, and wins. And next thing you know, he's on every news broadcast. He's everywhere, right? So my reason for bringing this up is that recently I just did a live with Robert G. Allen. He's committed to writing the foreword in my book, but here's what's freaking hilarious. Robert G. Allen, when I tell these stories, it's like, how would anybody not know who this man is? You would think these stories would be continued to be passed down, in
like that's a story.
That's a story. And it's legit. Like, reporter followed him, reported it in the LA Times. You can Google that shit. There's a newspaper. You can pull, like, it's legit. And so I look at that and I think of a couple of things. I go, why doesn't nobody know who Robert G. Allen is? Well, let's talk about that. People don't know who Robert G. Allen is because Robert G. Allen focused his time and energy on building a brand, not on feeding people meals. Because what happens is your employees become your legacy. Your business becomes your legacy. They pass down your stories for you because they believe in their leader. What Robert did is he admits this, okay? He's like, I got sucked into 100% of the name game. Robert G. Allen. I kept hearing my name and it became like, that's who I am, is this brand. And he focused on education and he focused on books and he focused on stage speaking. So I follow in his footsteps and I look at him and I go, I'm not going to make the same mistakes he did. And so his advice is this. This is his biggest advice. He says, the number one thing that I would change if I could go back would spend most of my time giving everything away. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, houses, cars, everything I possibly can, give it away, because I learned too late in life. It took me 20 years of, like, after the LA Times thing, it took him 20 years to realize that your name, your legacy, your ego will only continue to go forward if you give. And so the last 20 years of his life has been focused on giving. But all those stories, when it was all about him and all about his ego 100%, without the thought process of how many families can I feed, how many people can rely on what I'm building, those stories have gone away. And so I look at guys like So I look at guys like you, Stratton, and I'm like, this guy's doing it right. You're building a business, you're feeding families, you're doing things with momentum. Your employees, your customers, your people will continue to tell your story of the great things you do. Make sure you give them stories to tell. And so my goal every single morning, I wake up and I go, what's the story I want to tell today? And so this morning we made a commitment. We're going to give away a house to a local family. We don't know who the family is, but we're going to let the news channel that we do an exclusive with pick the family that we're going to give the house to. I want to have people tell stories about our legacy and what we're building, because it just makes it more fun, right? It makes it way more fun. It doesn't feel like work when you have those kind of things going on.
Bro, and so did you take any marketing courses, any branding or anything else? Because I think you're one of the most brilliant marketers I've ever met in my life.
No, I didn't. And this is part of, like, I felt like, bro, you're much younger than me. How old are you? You're in your 20s, right?
I'm 26.
Okay, you're 26. So you're so far ahead of me, In my 20s, this is who I was. This little thumb right here was everybody that saw what I had inside me, but I didn't see what I had inside me. So everybody was like trying to keep me down. oh, Pace, that's not going to work. Pace, that's not going to work. Pace, just work for me. Put in the time and energy. Work for me, work for me, work for me. And I let partners and friends and family members keep their thumb on who I was. And it wasn't until I was 30 years old that I realized that I had the brain to market things like crazy.
Bro, it's amazing. You are the best marketing mind I've ever met in my life. Like the stories you come up with.
In our like niche of wholesaling and creative finance and like fixing and flipping, I personally think that I am in our lower tier. Like there's guys like Grant Cardone, like holy crap. He's in a league, he's in like 7 leagues above me. But I think personally, I think I'm top 3 in our niche just because I watch everybody's stuff. I consume everybody's stuff. And I'm like, you guys are making it all about yourself. Like you're missing, like go back and listen to Robert G. Allen, make it about everybody but you. And that's the number one most important thing to put into your marketing. And if you can figure that out and how to tell the story, you will dominate. You will get your message out there.
So who do you think's number 1 in our niche?
Me, but I can't say that. So I said top 3.
Okay. I was like, what the fuck? No. Like
I can tell you the other person that is absolutely prolific that is different than me. Him and I have completely different messages. And this is why we collaborate so well together is Jamil. There's
Jamil has
nobody better. His commercials, his scripting, his cadence, his understanding of like how to hit the button on certain messages, it's unmatched. Here's how unmatched he is, okay? He currently has all these other influencers going to him and saying, you are dominating like all the ads in Facebook and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. And the cool thing is like Jamil's real. He's really doing the deal he says he, real. Right? Most people are not, and they're coming up with shitty ads on top of it. So it's like they just have a shit sandwich. They are all going to Jamil, and I'm not going to say how much money people are paying Jamil, but they're paying him to script, like help them film and like cast their own individual Facebook ads because he's being sought out. Everybody in the country in our space is like, this guy has something special, and people are flying in to learn from him. Like it's a mentorship on how to do Facebook ads at the highest level. That's how good he is. Nobody's called me, bro. Nobody's called me one time.
I don't see your ads. Jamil's ads are unmatched, but so your branding is different. But I was talking to my partner today. He was like, yeah, we need to run ads like Jamil. He was like, we need to do stuff like Jamil.
Yeah. 100%.
As far as paid ads go.
Yeah. Nobody's better.
While we're talking about giving, and I'm not going to take this down a religion route. Let's talk about how important it is to tithe. It's changed my life. Yeah. I've been dead broke and given away 10%, and I've still come out on the other end.
You know, I grew up Mormon, LDS, right? And so tithing was like a really big part. In fact, it was like so ingrained in us that tithing was like the most important thing. Before you pay your mortgage, before you buy your groceries, you give 10%. And the Robert G. Allen, surprise, surprise, is also religious. And so his thought process is like, I don't care if you're Mormon, you're Christian, you're Catholic, you're whatever, or if you're nothing, if you're an atheist, figure out something that you believe in and tithe 10%. The first 10% comes in and you give it away. And you give it away, you give it away, give it away. So I would say easily we probably, between Cody, myself, and some of my other partners, I would say we give away close to 15% of all of our gross income. Gross. Yeah. It's scary. Like money comes in, 100 grand came in today, 15 grand right out of the thing. We go, what are we going to do with this to help people?
But that's fun though. And you're at a point where you don't really have to think about money.
I am.
You think about money in a different way. Let's say that. You still think about money, but it's in a completely different way.
It is a different thing. Like, you know, what's funny though is like, there's a moment in your life you just wake up and you're like, whoa, I don't have to worry about this anymore. But you are so used to grinding and just putting, you know, the pieces together to make it happen, all that kind of stuff. But no, I don't have to worry about money. I mean, you get like, the thing is like Noah Hoffman, going back to him for just a second, I have one house in Texas that nets me $9,400 a month. One house. One house nets me $9,400 a month. I've never seen it. I didn't use my credit. I didn't use any credentials. I didn't use any of even my own cash to buy the deal. And we could talk about that too. Why don't I use my own cash to buy deals is so I can go buy title companies, which is like, again, my biggest thing that I'm planning on continually building. But going back to that, one house is enough money that most people could retire on that. So you look at just under 200 homes. Do you think I have a money problem? No, I don't. What I do have is I have an ego problem, and I go, I'm 38. I should be way further ahead of where I am, not financially. I should be way further ahead of where I am right now, not financially, but things that I've done to impact other people. And a big part of that is tithing right out of the gate. Like, make it the first step you get out of your bed in the morning. Who am I helping? Who am I giving money away to? Whose life am I changing? And that's your sole purpose for the day. Dude, your whole life changes. It's crazy.
It's been an amazing gift to me. Now that we're talking a little bit about sub 2, how did you create a cult? Talk to me about how you created the cult.
Same thing, bro. Same thing as what we're talking about before, giving, right? So here's what ultimately happened. So I used to go on appointments, right? So I go on appointments now. I just like the deal I just gave to Anna, the house that we gave away to Anna, I went on that appointment myself. That was my sister, who's a nurse. She's like, I've been following you for years and I don't know what you do. Can I go on an appointment with you and like see what you actually do? Right. So I took my sister and she's like, holy crap, this is what you do. Cause our families, like, they get disassociated with like what we do as business owners and whatever else. So I go to this appointment, which I rarely go to appointments, I lock up the deal, give that house to Anna. But now the only appointments I go on are like, sellers confused by taxes, sellers confused by this. Hey, we need a really unique structure. Let's bring in the big guns, right? Let's bring in Pace. But there was a point years ago when I would run my own marketing, do my own follow-up, do everything. And every single morning I would think, who can I help today? And I would say, meet me at Circle K at 6 a.m. I've got 3 buy appointments, an appointment with my attorney. I'm going to drive to 2 of my fix and flips, and you are going to be stuck in my Prius all day long. I only have room for 3 people. First day, check this out, Strat. This is what's funny. First day I ever did this on Instagram was when Instagram stories first came out. I was like, oh, let me try this out on Instagram stories. Nobody replies because nobody knew what the hell Instagram stories was. So this is what I did. I go, okay, nobody showed up, no big deal. So I then at the end of the day, I go, wow, what an amazing ride along today. The 3 people that came with me had a blast. See you guys tomorrow. And somehow, some way, people saw that and they were like, wow, people got value from you. I want value too. And those people never even existed, bro. And I didn't do that intentionally. I did not do that intentionally. That wasn't my marketing brain. It was me like manifesting, like in my mind, people will show up. If you build it, people will come, right? So I started doing that. And then one day I had to basically change the way I was doing it because one morning I pull into Circle K at 5:30 in the morning to grab my orange Monster the same way I do every single morning. I pull in to grab my orange Monster and there's 60 people at Circle K and I had not even made my post yet. 60 people. This was 2018. So it was 3 years ago, 3.5, 4 years ago.
Is this even before you went on Steve's show?
Way before. Yeah. This is actually how like Steve and some of these people knew who I was, is because I was taking people on appointments and Steve was like, who are you? What are you doing? I thought you were just a contractor. Like, what's going on? You know, type of thing. So yeah, it was like a year, maybe 2 years before Steve's show. And then I amplified when Steve's show went, I started taking people to my office. So I was like, okay, I can only help 3 people in my car. Let me start taking people to my office. So we bought a 20-foot whiteboard, one piece, 20 feet. It took like 7 guys to carry this whiteboard in because it's like a magnetized, badass whiteboard. It took up our entire hallway, 20 feet. And I found myself just going 8-9 hours every day with like 15, 20 people. And then all of a sudden, Cody Sperber's entire company shows up one day. 20 people from his company show up and they were like, keep going. Keep going. Don't let us interrupt. Keep going, keep going, keep going. I was like, wow. People are getting a ton of value. And so locally, I built a name that I was just like nonstop. I'm not going to coach. I'm not a coach. I wasn't anti-coach, but I was just like, I'm not a coach. I don't know how to coach. I don't know how to articulate. I'm just a guy doing deals. And I think that just multiplied to a point where I had no control over it. You know what I'm saying? Then Brent Daniels pulls me to the side and he says, you are the biggest dumbass. And I was like, why is that? And he says, because I've been watching you do this for years and you've become the guy in town that like everybody goes to get help because you truly will take your entire day
and help that one person, bro.
Right. To help one person if I had to. Right. And so, and I know you're the same way, right? Like there's people.
I am nowhere near the way you are, where you talked to me on the phone for an hour and a half about some nonsense property. Like we still ended up buying it, but like I knew everything you had going on. I tried to hop off the phone. You're like, hold up.
I'm like, bro, you need to know this.
Right? Need to know this to where I'm not, I need to work so much more on it because you're the most giving person in the aspect that I know.
Well, there's an equation there, and I didn't know the equation. I'll tell you the equation here in a little bit. So Brent Daniels says, you're dumb. You need to stop doing what you're doing. I was like, Brent, this is who I naturally am. I can't stop this. And I love doing it. Like it's my energy source is like where I plug in, right? So he goes, the problem is, Pace, is that you've helped hundreds of people, if not 1,000 people here locally in our market. So let me ask you a question. How many of those people are doing deals? I go, I don't know. He's like, well, then how do you know you're actually helping people? You need to go back and figure out, are you actually helping those people? So what I did is I had Anna call the last 50 people that were in my car with me, last 50 people. And we found that over 90% of the people had not, since they've been with me, even taken a single step of action towards their goals.
It's the most frustrating thing. And that you're the person who told me to charge. I charge now.
Right.
Like if you want me, you have to. Just to the people don't commit, and then for me, it's the time suck. Bro, it's your not bandwidth even, is so much bigger than mine. I just want to spend time with my kids.
So I call Brent back and I tell him, I go, holy crap, dude! Like this is scary. Like the information that I just got, and he goes, people pay attention to what they pay for.
Yeah.
I was like, damn! I never knew that. And it's like the financial part is a commitment in themselves. Like they've committed themselves and they've taken action on money. And now the money is their accountability partner of like, holy shit, I've invested in this. I need to take it seriously. And they actually pay attention. Right. So, yeah, that's why I decided so Brent calls me and he goes, I want you to come on Wholesaling Inc. So this is like 2 years ago. I want you to come on Wholesaling Inc. You've got the brand, bro, I had a big brand before. I was a year and a half before I was a coach. People knew me as the sub-2 guy, right? And then Jamil and Jamil didn't even have an Instagram at this time. And I go, bro, we got to get your Instagram popping. So every time I was with Jamil doing deals and whatnot, I was posting for him and showing him how to push the buttons and what to do here and how to do this and da. So he started getting rhythm going. Then we started that tour where we were like, bro, we're making a lot of money in our real estate business. Still, this is a year before Brent called me and told me to stop doing things for free. So Jamil and I were like, we want to help more people for free. So we started flying around the country. And by the way, I'm going to give you another compliment. Out of 50 RIAs we traveled to in about a year and a half, you were the only one that treated us like we felt like we were being paid to go to your event. Okay. So that tells you how top notch you are. 50 other people had the opportunity to even be 1/10 of you. You were literally 20 times better than all of them. So, you can send this video to all 49 of them and say, Stratton Brown put you to shame with value and giving. Amazing, amazing. So we were traveling around. And that's when Brent was like, how much money did you spend last year helping people? And so Jamil and I sat down and we found out that collectively we spent $360,000 helping people that year. In 1 year, $360,000. Flights, rental cars, taking people out to meals, right? All of those things, hotels, all of that stuff. $360,000. That's $1,000 a day is we spent out of our pockets to help people. And then Brent had the same come to Jesus meeting with both of us, is like, you're not helping anybody. You think you're helping people, but you're not. And this is why people charge. And I was like, bullshit, that's not right. We went back, I found the math, and it's right. Like 95% of people that never pay for anything, never commit, they have a commitment problem, not a money problem. They have a commitment problem. And if you are only helping people that have a commitment problem, you will never help anybody. And he's like, you either A, need to start charging people, or B, you need to be a commitment coach and only teach people how to commit to doing something. Are you a commitment coach? I go, no. And he goes, okay, let the money be the commitment coach and then use that as the filter. Are these people truly ready? And I think, because going back to your question, because we spent years and years and years giving true value to people, if anybody in this industry says, oh, is Pace a legit guy? And you ever hear somebody say something negative about me, you will have 25 people go, that person who just spoke negatively about Pace is a piece of shit.
Right. Fuck you. Fuck that guy.
That's exactly it. And so my reputation protects me against haters, because haters will inevitably, and you deal with it too, I guarantee it. You will deal with haters who just found you or just saw your podcast or heard something you said about X, Y, and Z, or blah, 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 blah. Your fans, your audience, who you provide and over deliver value for, are the people who will protect you. I never have to reply to comments that are negative, because my audience will, because I've given them, if they pay me $5, I've given them $10,000 for that $5 of that charge. So anyway, the cult comes from the fact that I look at it and I go, how do I pay you 20 times? How do I give you 20 times the value? And the other thing is, how do I continually do it years after you paid me? Right? So think about this. My mentorship is the only mentorship in real estate, the only one out of thousands. My mentorship is the only mentorship that is lifetime. In 10 years,
Is it really?
Lifetime. In 10 years, Gerald Rojas can come to my house. He can call me on my phone. Well, first off, he's my friend, first and foremost. But any of my students can go, I need a question from Pace. And they come onto one of my 5 Zooms I personally do every single week for my students. Out of those Zooms, those are my 5 personal ones. We have 20 other Zooms being done every single week for our students. Role playing. My team is calling their sellers. Bro, it is literally $1 million of value for my students, and they have all that value for a lifetime. If I'm a coach in 15 years, my students get to come in. This is the coolest thing. I get so hyped about this. The vision of my mentorship was, in 10 years, my students can come in and still come on Zoom with me and get questions and, or ask questions and get answers to situations.
Right.
And
to
because
real situations. Because you're
right,
growing and they're growing.
Strat, in 6 months, they're going to have certain questions. In 6 years, those are going to be completely different questions. They're going to be, Pace, how do I structure my taxes? I'm making too much money. I'm still your coach. I was your coach from day one. I'm still your coach. I will give you the answers. And so I've figured out how to structure my mentorship to allow for those types of things to happen, that I get students from a year ago that joined that come in, and I have, check this out. 10% of my students right now are making over $200,000 a month doing one thing, doing JV deals inside my mentorship.
Like that. That's bananas to think about. Like, that's a fucking community. That is amazing. That's real.
That's a community. And then I prop these people up. I put them I take them out of the desert. I bring them into the oasis. And I tell them, when I do this, I go, I'm going to make you somebody that all the new students can go to get their deals closed and all that kind of stuff. You need to remember that you are in the desert and that this is my oasis. If you ever disrespect my oasis, you will be kicked out of my oasis. And bro, I'm telling you, it attracts the most amazing people. Forget about kicking people out of the oasis. I feel lucky to be in the oasis with some of these guys and girls. And so you amazing. Think about it from a standpoint of what are things people will not do. And those are the things I'm going to focus all my time and energy on. right? So same thing, like think about Start Virtual, right? So give you some tips for your business. You're trailblazing and you're doing well. And you're doing a great job. I hear great things about your business. So the thing is, what are things that other virtual assistant business are not doing? I'll give you a couple of ideas. We are training cold callers to become lead managers, and we are training lead managers to become closers, right? So last week at Start Virtual, we had over 75 contracts closed from only virtual assistants. Cold called, followed up, deal contracted, and escrow opened by only a virtual assistant. The American business owner did not have to lift a finger in those businesses, 75 contracts. So my goal is, how do we train your VAs for you continually? If you're on my roster, if you're one of my clients, in 2 years from now, your VA needs a correction or whatever. Where can they go to get the training they need? Because most business owners don't know how to train virtual assistants or even know how to communicate with them to a certain degree. Most people, correct me if I'm wrong, think that virtual assistants are robots.
Bro, it's the most frustrating thing about
You're like, these are human beings, right? Like,
who have families and yes, they are your employees. They do have to eat. You can't just hire. It's the
right.
most.
They think it's like
really
you pay a bill and all of a sudden leads just start showing up. Like, we show them how to build culture. We show them how to do that kind of stuff. And I know you do that as well. But like some of the things that we're thinking about in the next 6 months are people, if you hear what we are thinking about in the next 6 months, you'll go, nobody's doing that. And that's why we're doing it. We're trying to over deliver to the point where when I hit my freaking head on my pillow at nighttime, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was a lot of work today, but it was absolutely worth it. And that's the goal. And I know the same thing about you. No, I've never heard anything negative about you at all, but I'm just saying, if somebody came to me and said anything negative about Stratton Brown, that's a direct reflection on how big of a piece of shit that person is that just said that. That's how important your reputation is. And that's how good your reputation is to me. So your business is the same way. It's like, how do I make sure that if somebody does complain, it's only a negative reflection on them, because 99% of the other people are so absolutely happy with you. They're blown away. They are your army, your customers. You know this. This is so basic, but I'm talking obviously to the audience. The people, your clients, are your strongest marketing mechanism, as you know. Because I'm sure you guys have you've gotten to a critical mass that with your business, you now are probably getting at least half of your clients from referrals.
All of them. Like it's all just referrals. Is all it is now. And that's nice. What's it called? I didn't want to do the closing thing, because at that point it's like, well, okay, why don't we just close them all ourselves instead of training up people to do that? And then I was like, do I really want to? I didn't like having that lifeblood of someone's business in my hands. And that probably goes into a confidence thing of me. But I was like, bro, that's a lot.
It is a lot.
That was a lot to take responsibility for. I was like, do I want to do it? And then I see you doing it. I see Matt doing it, because Matt's posting about it all the time. I'm sure you've been following him about how his guy's on fire. We are in the process of going, everyone calls us the leads managers, and then the staffing side, just like, I'm thinking more of how can I be more irreplaceable. The closing thing is like inevitable. Like when you get to that, you have a customer for life, because you already have your.
You know what's fun about this though? Here's what's fun is that as my brother, what you and I are doing is, you would think that you and I are competing with each other, but the reality is these are the valuable things that are fun for me. Is that you and I are competitors in that business, but the reality is you and I are collaborators, because you and I are changing this industry from the people who are like, I'm just gonna, here's your VA, here's your VA. Shit. Right. My goal is, how do I put everybody to shame? Because we elevate the game so much. I want people to say, and I want to hear this about you too, Strat. When somebody talks about you in 5 years, one of the things that they should use to describe you is, that guy changed the game. That guy changed the game.
Mindset shift.
Right.
All right. We're at an hour, but I have a couple more questions for you. Do you got time, bro? I want to talk about how big of a influence your wife has been in your life and how you structure your family, and then the blended family aspect, like that entire dynamic and how you've structured that around the several businesses that you own and stayed sane.
So with Laura, oh damn, I didn't even see all the comments that were going on.
Right. Well, you've been going off, right? And I'm just letting you go. We'll get to the comments at the end.
Oh damn. So hey guys, I love all these people in here. Avian, Leo, Kelly. You know how important Kelly is to my world. Man, all these people. So good to see you guys in here. So my wife, for a family man, my wife is my foundation, right? And I know, you and I are similar in that respect. If everything is okay in my household, I can then dominate the world. My house and my home is the foundation in which I launch everything off of. So my wife is, at the end of the day, the most important thing. If I know my children, like I see my wife taking the kids to swimming lessons today, that makes me feel like the kids are getting the attention they deserve, right? And I don't have to worry about those types of things. Then my wife, here's the greatest thing about it. My wife is my realtor. So she knows more about my real estate transactions than I do. So when I come home from work, guess what we don't talk about? We don't talk about work. Cody talks to my wife more than I talk to my wife about work. Like I'll come home and my wife will never say, how was work? Because she knows, because she's part of my business, right? Yeah. And so we get to come home and we get to anything but Mr. Work, right?
That's nice.
And then at the same time, it is fun when she can relate to the things I have to do. So my feeling is like, if you are going to be in real estate and you want your wife to have a job with you, 100% bring her in your business. There is a way to structure that. And there's a way to make sure that you don't constantly fight, because people naturally want to fight with each other when they're in business with their spouses. That's another conversation for another day. But it is the most important thing. If my world is shaky with my wife, let's say that her and I are not on the same page about budget or religion or this or that or whatever, nothing else in my world is reaching its fullest potential. And so she understands that too. So my wife isn't texting me and going, where are you? Why are you working so hard? My wife is the opposite. My wife will go, you didn't really seem like you put in a full day today. Is everything okay? You didn't put in a full day today. Is everything okay? That's a mindset shift for women that are, being married to entrepreneurs. Is like, do you realize that your husband, or I'm sorry if I'm sounding misogynistic to some of the people in here, because I am a traditional family, and some people are like, well, I don't have a husband, and why are you? I'm so sorry. I can only speak based on my current life. But my wife understands that 12,000 meals are fed by my companies every day. Do you think my wife is worried about me eating dinner with the family every single night? No, because she realizes what our family unit is. It's not about us anymore. It stopped being about us a long time ago. We are fine. We have the money. We have the opportunities. We can eat. My wife brought me 2 dinners tonight because she's like, pick which one you want. Here's 2 different dinners. That's how blessed we are. So do you think my wife is going to be so freaking crazy about, you need to be home at this time and you need to be here, and nag my ass to death? Like a lot of people I see, I'm like,
it's a thing. It's a real thing. That's why I love that your entire dynamic. It is the number one private conversation I have behind closed doors with men, is that their wife nags them to death. Really?
I'm sorry for some of the women that are listening to this and go, this guy's an asshole. I'm okay with that. You can call me an asshole. But my wife, instead of saying, where are you and what are you doing? My wife says, it doesn't seem like you put in a full day today. Is everything okay? Different mindset, right?
Completely different mindset.
Yeah. It's because she catches the vision too, right? Because she's included in the business. So I think it goes back. It's not a woman thing. I actually think that men that are getting nagged by wives, their wives are telling them something. Their wives are saying, why aren't you including me in this business? And why aren't you helping me catch the vision? Like, I want to be a part of this. Why are you building a castle without me? Like, I want to be your queen. I want to be part of this. Tell me how I can help. When she says, where are you and what are you doing? That is the filter in which you have to hear that communication, is that she wants to be part of it, and she has something of value to bring to the table. Figure out how to get her on the same page and on the same stream with the vision. You know what I'm saying?
100%. That is powerful. How
Yes.
important has your network been throughout all of this?
The
You've blown up, I'd say, what is it, the last 5 years have been like a skyrocket. Even before that, though, what you're doing was amazing.
Locally, yes, 5 years, but out in the regular world, I'd say 2 years, right? So that all has been my network. It's all been my friends. It's all been collaboration. It's why, going back to the question earlier, when you're like, what can I bring you of value? I'm like, Stratton, the value you bring me is exactly what you're doing. Like, I look at you. Do you think, like, think about this, like, you feel like LeBron James and, let's say Kobe, when they were both on the court, do you think they hated each other, or do you think they pushed each other and they were like brothers? That's how I look at our relationship. You and I bring each other value at a very high level because we're both trying to play the same game, and we push each other, and we constantly push the next, this is where the bar is now. The bar is no longer where everybody put it 5 years ago. The bar is pushed forward. And so that's fun. It's like playing a video game with my brother, right?
Yeah.
So that's fun. So my network is now only people. This is going back to wives and whatever else. You will see me only hanging out with men, typically, who are very, very happy with their marriages, because those are the people I resonate with the most. I look at those relationships and I go, if I'm going to ask you to leave your house to come hang out with me, it is my responsibility as Pace to bring your wife value when you come back home. So just like you, if I leave my house to go hang out with Jamil or you, Stratton, I better be bringing something back of value for the sacrifice of time and energy that I took away from my household. So everything, my energy, what I think about, what I do on a daily basis is based on my network, the collaboration, and also those guys and gals drive to succeed. So, bro, without it, I'd be an island, and nobody wants to be an island. And I know it's the same thing with you. Like, think about all the people you know and all these people you've had on your show the last couple of months, bro. You've been crushing. Great content, amazing guests. Like, getting to know these people, it changes your mindset just being around people.
Oh, bro, 100%. Well, I know all of them personally through you and Steve. Legitimately. Like, I know all these people from knowing you and Steve, and then like we go somewhere, and then like, I'm here at this event and I talk to everybody.
Right.
That's truly how I've built up and got to get all these killers on my show.
Right.
Like, what's the first person who came on my show, I think, was Matt Larson.
Oh, I love Matt.
Because me and Matt were at your office for 2 days when I went to that mastermind with Steve.
That was great. Matt Larson is genius.
How important has your wife been? Are you in any paid masterminds right now, bro?
Yeah, I'm in 3 paid masterminds. I think this year I'll spend close to $100,000 in masterminds.
Are these even real estate related anymore?
One of them is not. One of them is they call it the super group. So it's like very elite only real estate investors. And it's capped at 50. Steve's in there. Scott Oots runs it.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to talk about it, but I talk about it all the time. It's like the Fight Club of real estate investing. And so it's very high level people, and they meet 4 times a year. That one this year, I would say my first meeting, they've had 2 this year. There's 2 more, one in Coeur d'Alene and then one in Mexico. And I'll go to both of those. But the first one I went to was in Miami. And I would say the first day I received, no exaggeration, this is going to sound like a crazy number, I received no less than $100 million of value. I
From
learned
the people in there.
35 people. $100 million of value. $100 million of value. And what do I mean by that? I mean by the corporate structure, things that I learned, charities. How do I set up a charity? How do I have that charity lend money to my whole life insurance policy. My whole life insurance policy compounds and then utilize that as lending to other deals. It's an infinite circle of, all of these things. Everybody goes and gets like whole life insurance policies, but they actually don't know how to do it properly. The way you do it is you set up a charity, and your charity lends money tax-free to your whole life insurance policy. What most people do is they go make $100,000. And then they get taxed on that 100 grand, and they actually take home 75 grand. And then they take a portion of that 75 grand and they put it in their whole life insurance policy, and they go, I grew 7% or whatever it is, right?
Yep.
What I do is I donate my money to my charity, which gives me a dollar for dollar tax write-off for donating money to my own charity. Okay.
Amazing.
Then my charity lends money to my whole life insurance policy, non-taxable event. My charity gets paid back that loan when I die. And instead of me putting in a little teeny amount of money in my whole life insurance policy, I have an extra $25,000 that I didn't have to pay in tax because I donated that 100 grand to my charity. Now, what's cool about my charity is that my charity is spent 70% of my charity is affordable housing and veteran assistance, which allows me to make all the cash flow from my mobile home parks and my affordable housing rentals tax-free cash flow. So I look at that and I compound that over like the lifetime of my children and my children's children.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, there's no doubt that me learning this, which is not on YouTube, it's not in any books, and being able to directly communicate with the people that were teaching it, $100 million in value in our first of 3 days.
Hands down. Hands down.
It's like the college courses you should have taken. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I look at masterminds now. It's like everybody else is wanting to go to college. Everybody else is wanting to get higher education and get a degree. And I'm like, my higher education is a mastermind. And then the cool thing, and you know this, you walk into a room with other people who have filtered themselves out by saying, I'm so committed to this that I'm going to spend 20 grand, 30 grand. One of the masterminds I'm in is 30 grand a year. And you walk into a room full of people that cut a check for 30 grand because they wanted to learn more. Those are the people you want in your phone book.
Oh, hands down. Hands down.
Right.
I'm going to go back a little before I go to vision. How much time a day do you spend just thinking?
Probably 2 or 3 hours. And when I say just thinking, like I'm always doing 2 or 3 things at the same time, but like I drove to the dump today because I enjoy doing physical work. I had 2 extra hours today. I was like, oh, I've got this house that we just put a bunch of money into and we got trash and whatever else. And if I don't take this stuff to the dump, then my guys will say, hey, the dumpster's full and I can't work. So I'm like, oh, I got 2 hours. Let me go take this to the dump. So even driving to the dump, I'm thinking, how do I do this thing? How do I do this thing? How do I accomplish this? How do I do that? So all day long, I'm constantly thinking about whatever. I'm never thinking about sports. I'm never thinking about TV shows. I'm always thinking like, who's the next person we can impact and inspire everybody else to do the same thing? Do you follow Charlie Rocket?
No.
Follow that mother effer right now, Charlie Rocket. He's non-real estate related. He literally drives around the country in an RV. He used to be 2 Chainz's producer. Okay. He sold all his shit only to go give money away to people all over the country. He just travels the whole country. And I was like, that's what I want to be in real estate. So always thinking not just about our companies and, vision of, how much money my legacy needs to have and all those types of things. But how am I going to accomplish what Charlie Rocket did last week, but use him as inspiration to do it in real estate and then challenge myself to adapt it into real estate and go, oh, that's how I do it. So I'm always thinking about those types of things.
Okay. And so what's the number one way you're painting the vision to all of your employees and getting buy-in from everybody?
Telling them that if you don't follow my vision, I'm firing you. I hate to say that, but it's like,
really?
Yes.
That's the most genuine answer I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, this is very honest answer. a long time ago, I used to think, oh, well, if somebody's like, oh yeah, that's a cool idea, I would second guess myself if it wasn't like, wow, that's the greatest idea ever. And I found myself following other people's like branding ideas and other people's vision of an idea I had, and go, okay, all right, you seem confident in that. It never works unless it's my vision. And I'm cocky and I'm confident in that fact. And so if somebody's like, oh, I think it would be better if, I go, perfect. When I work for you, we will do it your way. And I will be an asshole because I understand time is limited. I have no time to mess around with other people's vision. It is my vision or there's the door. That's it. And so here's the other thing that I'm learning. If you don't explain your vision 7 times to the same employee, 7 times, they didn't hear it 1 time.
Yes.
Truly.
Very.
If you did not explain it 7 times, they did not hear it 1 time.
And this is at a high level, right? Because like you don't deal with any day-to-day bullshit in most of your companies, I'm guessing.
No, I don't. I used to. You have to work hard before you work smart. Unfortunately, like people go, I'm going to start working smart. Good luck, dumbass. You do not have the right to work smart without having worked hard. You work hard, then you automate. Now you can work smart. Guess what? Once you work smart again, you have to get to the next level. You have to work hard again and then delegate. Work hard again, then delegate. So every 30 days, I take 5 or 6 tasks off my plate when I'm in a meeting. Like I just met with Cody and Matt right here in this room. And I said, these 5 things I am not okay with handling ever again. Take these things off my plate right now. I need to go do what I'm good at.
100%. And what is your superpower, bro? Like what are your top 3 superpowers to where, and I try and do this all the time, just I'm only doing what's in my unique ability, and like I can hire on people now. Like I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I think I was just going to say that, like, as a brother to you, I would give you the best advice I could give to another visionary with a lot of momentum like you, is I would make a purpose every 30 days, choose 5 things in your world that you refuse to do ever again. I refuse to do it. Somebody else on my team needs to take it. Like even today, we had movers moving from our other house to this house. And I was like, somebody will handle that. Like I'm not even moving my own personal stuff. I'm not packing my own personal stuff. As of like 30 days ago, I'm no longer doing my laundry. I know it sounds really stupid, but it's like,
it's time consuming.
It's therapeutic for me as like a kid that grew up in a household of 12 kids. I love doing laundry and I love folding clothes and I love ironing my own shit. But then when you like sit down and you realize like how much time it takes, as therapeutic as it really is, I'm like, that's something that I could take 10 hours a week off my plate and my wife's plate, and we could serve a higher purpose. So do I make enough money to hire somebody to do it? Yes, I do. Great. Perfect. So my top 3 superpowers, number 1 is my ability to articulate a story is my number 1 superpower. Number 2, my superpower is I can see things 2 years in advance.
Okay.
I will have employees that work for me. Kelly's in here. She'll tell you this. Things will happen in my world and she'll go, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I go, Kelly, I told you this was going to happen 5 months ago. And she goes, oh my gosh, you did. How did you know? I'm like, I see what's happening in 2 years. I see it. I see the decision I make today, how it's going to impact me in 2 years. I see the equation. It's a mathematical equation. And then the third one I would say is it's a disease if it's used incorrectly, but my disease of constantly needing to give. It is not a decision I make. It is something that is ingrained in my blood. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I have to give something to somebody, a car, a house, this, $500, this, that, and the other, whatever it is. And it is a disease if it's given to the wrong people. And it's a superpower if it's appropriately used.
Powerful. And then what is your goal in the next 5 years?
My goal in the next 5 years is to have, personally, I would say I want to have 2,000 acres on a lake with a river running through that 2,000 acres. I want to be like Kevin Costner in Yellowstone. Have you watched that TV show?
No, but there's a ranch for sale in Spanish Fork that like, I know.
Very similar to that. If you
Okay.
watch Yellowstone, you'll understand. So my goal is 2,000 acres in Montana or Wyoming, with a flowing river that goes through it, so I control the body of water. I would love that. 3 more kids, same house. I don't think I'll ever outgrow this house. And then Laura and I want to spend 4 months every single year traveling around the country and just helping people. Like, get in our RV, let's travel, and let's just literally go week in and week out in a new place and just go, who can we help? Whose business can we impact? How can we help you change this in your such and such and whatever else? And we had that vision like 3 years ago. And then we decided when COVID hit, it was like, this is the time to do it. We did it for 4 months. Then we had to come back for Asher's school. So by the time Asher is out of high school, we're going on the road literally 4 months out of the year.
And you're going to homeschool your little girl?
Homeschool our little girl, yeah.
Hell yeah. Bro, thank you so much for coming on. I don't want to take up any more of your time.
This is fun, man. I love hanging out with you. I love what you're doing. I'm watching you and I'm like, Stratton is on the right path. Like, just keep going, keep being consistent. Your shit's going to continue to blow up. Your 80 clients that you have right now in one of your businesses is going to triple, and then it's going to triple again, and it's going to triple again. And one day I'm going to call you up and go, hey man, can I get a loan?
Right. And I'd love to give you more money.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
And I think the number one reason you are so successful is because you've built your brand so large. On not discounting your hard work, but with the other brands, right? Where we talked about the title company beforehand.
Oh yeah.
That brand's there, the VA company, that brand's there. And then we have the coaching company, that brand's there. To where you've given out so much and then it's there. It's almost like the Gary Vee thing, to where you put in all that hard work and then it flows to you. It's amazing, dude.
So here's the thing that I'll leave you with in the audience. So most people think of a brand as like your emblem or your logo, right? A brand is not a logo, right? A brand, and you know this, a brand is the way somebody feels when they think about you.
Yep.
And if that is what I've done well, then bro, 100%, I'm going to continue to double down. I want people to remember how I make them feel every time I speak, every time I genuinely help people. My brand is going to be a brand of like drawing out emotions in people so that when they hear my name, they go, oh, that guy gives, he inspires me, whatever. So 100%. So same thing with you. Like, you're providing tremendous value, just like Steve Trang did when he like freaking created the, like, in my world, at least, the wholesaling podcast, right?
Oh, yeah.
You've taken that as inspiration and now you're doing other things. You're giving people emotions that they weren't feeling 45 minutes ago or an hour ago. And so that's your brand, right? Your logo is your logo, but your brand is the way people feel when they think about Stratton Brown. So keep doing what you're doing, bro. I'm having a fun time watching you.
Thank you, bro. And what's it called? You're amazing at giving compliments. That's one thing I've noticed, is you compliment everybody. And again, it makes them feel amazing, but you need to see this one.
Austin says, Pace, can I send you a potential sub-2 opportunity for a duplex in Houston? Yes, absolutely. My email is pace@sub2.com. And I would love to do that. I just got another Dallas deal today, another Airbnb. So if you guys want to send me a deal, pace@sub2.com. And guys, Stratton Brown, give this man some love. Like, you wouldn't believe how much time and energy goes into doing one of these, and like all the coordination and the patience that you have to have with other people's schedules to bring value to people for free. It is unbelievable the amount of hours that goes into one thing. You might look at it and go, oh, it's an hour-long podcast. Guys, it literally takes 7 hours to do one 1-hour podcast. Think about that. Give the man some love. Tag him on Instagram. Tag me and him on Instagram. Let's post this shit and give him some freaking love on this.
Thank you so much, Pace. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. What's going on? Warner, Leo, Kelly, Cyril, I hope I said that right. And then Austin replied. He's sending it to you right now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, Pace.
Thank you, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Winning Move Podcast. I hope it helps you make all the right moves in your life and business. please make sure to go like and subscribe on any podcast platform that you're listening to. And make sure to go follow me on Instagram at StratDaddy. Thank you guys so much. I'll talk to you soon.